Hey, what's going on, guys? Brian from Zombie Guitar here. In this lesson we're going to talk about how to combine modes together over chords that are all in the same key. Okay? Now, as a general rule of thumb, not always, but as a general rule of thumb, if a chord progression exists, then it's either going to be in a major key or a minor key. Okay? The major key is otherwise known as the Ionian mode. The minor key is also known as the Aeolian mode. The other 5 modes generally work best over just one chord that is played over and over and over for, an exceptionally long time, a few measures or something like that, okay? So what we're going to be doing here is we're only going to be using 4 chords. We're going to be in the key of B minor / D major, okay? They're the same key, they're relative to one another. So we're going to be playing in that key, but then we're going to take one of those chords in that key, the A chord specifically, and we're just going to play that over and over and over for a few measures. That's going to be the point where we switch modes and we play the Mixolydian mode. Okay, so I'm going to start out by just showing you the demo, and then we're going to explain the theory behind it. Alright, so take a look at the demo. Okay, so and as you saw through the demo, we were able to essentially combine the different modes depending on what the rhythm chords were doing, okay? So the rhythm chords dictated the sound that was going to be produced, and the lead guitar just kind of highlighted what the sound that was supposed to be produced was, okay? So when the chord sounded like this, okay, B Aeolian or B minor, okay, or you can go ahead and just use the B minor pentatonic, okay, it's all the same key, it's all the same stuff, all the same notes, alright, but then when we went like this, okay, that's essentially the same thing, just kind of the happier version, okay, and then we went to D Ionian, alright, so that was the D major scale. Again, same set of notes, but the rhythm chords were dictating the mode, okay, dictating the sound that was supposed to be produced. And then, when we held out on the A chord, okay, within the same chord progression, like that, that's when we go and we implemented the Mixolydian mode, okay, because the rest of the modes work best over single chords, okay, not necessarily chord progressions, alright? That's not 100% all the time rule, but more often than not, modes work best over single chords, okay? That's the easiest way to implement them. Alright, so now I was only using that little 4-fret area just to try and demonstrate this point without being too confusing. However, this same concept can be spread over the entire guitar, so let's take a look at the entire fretboard here. Alright, so what you see here is you have your B minor scale spanned across the entire fretboard. Okay, so here's your B minor, I call this the home box, so here's your B minor home box here. Okay, and then here's the area that I was doing the demo in. Alright, and then all the rest of the notes, they're all part of the B minor scale, and the white highlighted note is your note B, okay? The tonal center is B when you are playing in the B minor scale, otherwise known as the B Aeolian mode. So we could also view this from the perspective of D major, and the notes are going to stay the same. The only difference is going to be the highlighted note, which we are now going to make into the D. So as you see here, nothing changed except for your tonal center, which is now D. Okay, so you can play the same patterns, but now this is the D major scale spanned across the entire fretboard. Okay, so now you have your D major scale spanned over the entire fretboard, and the note D is your tonal center. You can also go ahead and keep every note the same, but change the highlighted note to A, and now A Mixolydian. This is the A Mixolydian mode spanned across the entire fretboard, okay? So you go ahead and you find your nearest A anywhere, and you kind of just play through the patterns from A up to the next A in the next octave, anywhere you want, from any A to any other A. Let's try this one. Result is the A Mixolydian mode, okay? So your tonality is really dependent upon the chord progression, all right? So one last point I want to make in this lesson, and then we're going to wrap it up. All right, so the final point that I want to make in this lesson is that despite what mode you're playing in, whether it be the Ionian mode, the Aeolian mode, the Mixolydian mode, or any other mode, the chord tones of the underlying chords that are going on in the rhythm section are always going to be the best sounding notes. You're going to take your mode, whatever mode you're playing in, and that's going to be your scale or framework that you play in, okay? And that's really going to give you the sound of the mode, but the best notes to land on and actually hold out on are going to be chord tones, okay? That works no matter what, whether you're playing modally or not, all right? So when we were playing in the minor, when we were doing the minor stuff, or the Aeolian mode, when it was like this, okay, I was really trying to hit chord tones of the B minor chord and the G major chord, okay? I wasn't really too worried about hitting chord tones of the A major chord within that progression, because that was kind of a quick chord, and it didn't really give me any time to land on chord tones of that particular chord. So I was doing stuff like, okay, just kind of looking at, you know, these chord shapes here. Here's a chord shape, and here's another chord shape. Alright, so just trying to hit those chord tones. And then when I went to the Ionian mode, and the rhythm progression was going, I was focusing on chord tones of the D major chord and the G major chord. Okay, I wasn't really worried about the A major chord. You can if you want, but it was such a quick chord within the progression that I was just kind of focusing on the first and last chord. So playing this position here, you have your D major chord tones, and you have your G major chord tones. Okay, so those were really my target notes, but I was still using the rest of the scale to help me walk between them. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then when we went to the A mixolydian part, where we're just holding out on that A chord, that gave us enough time to land on and really target chord tones of the A chord. Still using the mixolydian mode as my scalar framework, okay, but I was still targeting the chord tones of that A chord, okay, so now we're in the A mixolydian mode, same set of notes, but okay, so even though you're in a different mode, you still want to focus on chord tones, okay? You always, always, always want to focus on your chord tones. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for this lesson here today. Hopefully you're able to learn something. If this was too advanced or if I happen to move too quickly with anything, take a look at my website. I have tons of other lessons. I have lots and lots of free lessons on there, more about modes, more about targeting chord tones, more about the concept of the relative major-minor concept. I also have a lead guitar improv course in which it goes over all of this stuff, every single fretboard position, up and down the neck, and all the keys, targeting chord tones, changing modes and whatnot. And it also has lots and lots of fretboard diagrams with backing tracks with the fretboard diagrams on the screen, so you can practice soloing over different types of chord progressions in different keys and really get the hang of what notes to hit, why to hit those notes, when to hit those notes, and all that stuff. Okay, so take a look. Maybe it's something you're interested in. But hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. Till next time.